stay ready, you got to get ready.
Mm-hmm. Simple leopard.
Okay, so hello. It's your girl Natalie, the Keto Bikini Pro, and I have here with me today.
What's up, everybody?
This is Coach Bronson.
I'm the mean, angry coach.
Who also happens to be my boyfriend.
Lucky her.
So I know I get to. Don't you all wish you could live with your coach? Built-in accountability.
Some people do, some people probably don't. Like, no, I'd get that guy away from me, or girl.
I mean, really, do you really want your coach to be able to see everything you do all the time? Not really.
She loves it though.
This will be.
She loves every time I'm like, nope, don't do that.
So
nope,
far, we haven't really had any of that.
No, we won't.
But we also haven't started prep. So let me tell you what's going on right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is my comeback. This is the series that is all about my return to the stage 2022. So this is week one. Kind of.
We're getting
kind of week zero.
Week zero. Yeah.
So we're going to take you with us today as we basically talk about what the plan is going to be. I've been in maintenance for over a month now, probably about a month and a half, in a really comfortable place with my body composition, body fat percentage, all those good things. Health is much better than it had been. If you didn't see my previous video, go watch that. It's the whole backstory of why we're doing what we're doing right now, what this series is all about. But today is all about taking you with us at the very beginning as coach builds out my plan.
Coach-client. This is coach-client.
We build out the plan together. As I mentioned in the other video, this is all about me returning to the stage in good health physically, as well as mentally, emotionally, the whole 9 yards. So,
and looking fine as hell.
I can't wait. It's very exciting. I feel pretty fine already.
Well, you are.
So we are basically just going to be trial and error here. Training, nutrition, macros, all of that to, we're not even at the cutting stage yet. Like we haven't I still haven't chose a date for a show yet.
Right. So
we're not like X number of weeks out and not focusing on cutting. Really right now it's
like you said, baseline, kind of get things going, see where you're actually at. This is kind of totally interrupting you. This is so the last week, 2 weeks, how long have you been doing carnivore strict? No.
I still would say that I haven't been
mostly.
Like 100%
mostly
carnivore.
Okay.
But like 99% probably what?
So that's
3
really,
weeks?
so that's really what the focus has been, is just kind of getting off of as many carb options as possible.
Yeah.
So
taking the plant matter out.
Pretty much there.
Yeah.
Now we kick in and we go 100%.
Yep.
And we try, I guess goal number one is finding out where your break point is from a fuel perspective. Where's, like right now you're maintaining, you're pretty good, but we haven't tried to adjust down to see where, okay,
right.
Can we go here and does she lose? Can we go here? Does she lose? Like, where is that point where you start dropping?
Yeah.
So then we can hang out there for a little bit and kind of tweak some things. Okay.
Right. Yeah, we're humming along in maintenance right now. It's been pretty easy to hit my macros.
Yeah.
We do have macros I've been following for the last like 6 weeks or so. Bumped my fat up. My body's loving that. It's just a much easier, I won't even call it a ratio because we work with specifics, we work with grams, but it's just an easier ratio, for lack of a better word.
Well, that's two things to point out from what you just said, which is good. We're not going off of calories, right? That is not the focus of the way that I do stuff. I do stuff off of your body, essentially how much you weigh, like how much lean mass do you have. So we use ratios off of lean mass as opposed to ratios of the total macros within the calories. So we're gonna look at calories a little bit, but that's more of a secondary thing that we look at as opposed to how much lean mass you have. And that's where we base everything off of. You said something else there. You were talking about, what did you just say? You had two things that I wanted to bring up, and I can't remember what the second one was. It'll come in my head.
First, you just brought something up, and something that I can share as I go through this series is how we might be doing things differently than what I've done in past preps.
Oh, that was it.
There we go.
Higher fat versus lower fat.
Yes.
That's going to be different.
Yes.
That's going to be different.
Yeah. So quick little rewind on how I did preps before. My first two preps in 2016 and 2017, I did myself. I didn't have a coach or anything. I didn't have a trainer. I basically just found a plan. I bought a plan online from a pro. It was not ketogenic.
What's the best way to do it?
It was a great training program. But I didn't use her nutrition programs because they were not ketogenic, and most people at that time were not encouraging ketogenic.
They still aren't.
For competition prep, and they still aren't. There's very, very few out there that do. So I did it all myself. Looking back, when I just looked back the other day at my old numbers, like everything was low. It's crazy, but it's like it's interesting because I didn't have the amount of lean mass that I have now. You know, my body weight where it is now with all this lean mass on me this was my old high weight, you know, where right now my body's just super happy, but it used to be like I got to these numbers and I'd be like, oh God, I have a lot of extra body fat. So it's really exciting and powerful to share with you all what we're passionate about, which is body recomposition. That you don't have to choose to put on a bunch of body fat in the name of gaining muscle, bulking, and you don't have to kill yourself with cardio and low calories to burn body fat.
We should write this down. What are the statements we're trying to make doing this?
Yeah, well, first and foremost,
so there doesn't need to be a bulking cutting cycle.
Yes, because we're not going to be doing that. Like, it's not going to be all bulking, all cutting.
Bulking cutting is bullcrap. How's that?
I like that. The other thing is the benefits of a keto, particularly carnivore, animal-based diet for overall health.
Yeah. So some of those benefits she's talking about, there's going to be a few things that we're going to call out that, I mean, I've seen it. Everyone I've ever worked with has experienced doing it as a ketogenic protocol. There's going to be some things like your recovery from workouts will be faster, which I think you probably already seen. Like, you're not as sore after workouts. You're able to do more volume because of that, right? There's a whole nother fueling aspect of it. So in your workouts, you'll be able to get more out of your workouts because you're able to extend that fuel and have energy to do more reps every time you work out.
That's the goal.
Right? Because your recovery is better, because you're getting more in, your overall volume is increasing, so you'll see more benefit from that. We're focusing on protein, right? I don't think any bodybuilder doesn't focus on protein.
Right.
But because we're focusing on protein with fat as the main source of fuel, the inflammation, the extra oxidative stress, and all those other things, you're going to get more out of the protein than you would if we were doing things with carbs. So your growth, not only will you be able to train more, but the effect of the protein is going to be more intense. So you're going to see better at a minimum, right? At a minimum. I fully expect that your muscle mass will increase through this process, even though you're cutting.
Yes. And what I will point out
but
is that every single prep that I've done, so it's been 16, 17, I took 2018 off, so 2019, 2020, so 4 preps that led to going to stage. I also did some that did not, but preps that led to stage, I've done 4, and every single time I've gotten recomp. Every single time I've put on muscle mass while losing body fat, and I've done it with a ketogenic diet every prep.
Yeah.
So that is something I've seen every time. I have the numbers to prove it. And the original reason why I used keto for my very first prep is what is most important to me right now, and that was my health. So it was about maintaining my hormonal health.
Hey, I just wrote that down. Which
greatly impacts, female hormone. So like my cycles, but especially the mental health aspect is so connected to the hormonal health.
Your mood swings, like everything. Just being, there's no hangry.
Hangry, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the negative aspects. If you're watching this and you're a competitor, you know what we're talking about. There's the last few weeks of any prep is hell. Hell. Okay. We can alleviate a lot of that. And you'll see whenever we pick a date for her to do a show, the few weeks, a couple weeks up to that point, she's going to be the happiest person ever. You're like, there's no way that woman is prepping, and she's in prep week, like in peak week.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
That's the main goal here, and that's what we want to show. And then we'll add to that no relapse. I want to get to stage without a relapse. That's the variable right there. That is the big unknown.
Yep.
But that I truly believe that doing carnivore more consistently for an extended period of time, which I've never done before, that's what I'm hoping will really support my mental health through this process.
Yeah. And the way that works, which we'll get into in other videos and stuff, but it's a tool that you can use, right? So it's not a crutch. We're not saying that just because she's carnivore, there isn't a risk. It's not going to happen, but it's a tool that we can use to kind of help mitigate any of the things that may come up.
Exactly.
Right? Because you can always eat more meat.
It's one thing you do have to address the mental and emotional stuff, but when you have something that's supporting you physiologically, it's so much easier to deal with the emotional stuff.
And the biggest difference between this and maybe some of the other preps that you've done is me.
I get to do it with my support.
You got somebody here to help you out and support you with it, okay?
Like right here. So I should say, I explained my first 2 preps was just me. That was very nerve-wracking. And then the last 2 preps was with a coach, but it was a virtual coach that did not live in my locale. So everything was text message or phone call here and there, but it was not a regular, like we're always, and he was amazing. He was amazing with emotional support, but I had to reach out and I had to be in communication with him. So it was much easier for me to hide when I needed to. So that's essentially what happened in 2020. I just hid. So I can't hide from this man right here. He knows where to find me. I know where to find her. Okay.
All right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to go through what her numbers are now from a macros perspective, from a body comp perspective, all that kind of stuff. So starting at the top, your current body composition numbers, where is that?
Yes.
Okay, so you are, she's putting this stuff out there, guys, so I hope you all appreciate this. All her numbers are coming out. Okay.
We're sharing, so let me do a little disclaimer before we share my numbers, because we are going to share all my numbers, body composition, macros, and I always see it with videos that competitors share that everybody wants to know the macros. And then usually competitors don't like to share that information because it's not going to apply to you.
Right.
So please listen to me when I tell you. And we also need to preface this by telling you my height. Yes. Because I am not even 5 feet tall. I'm like 4'11" and a half, let's say.
Yeah.
4'11" and a half. So first of all, I want you to think about your height compared to my height when you're thinking about these numbers.
Right.
They're going to sound low. Everything is going to sound very low. To the average person, it is low, but I'm a very small person. Yeah. So keep that in mind. And then also, height is not the only thing. So if you're also 4'11" and a half, don't think you can just jump to these numbers, because there's a lot of factors that come in to creating a plan for someone. And no 2 people are alike. Yeah. So just don't take my numbers and think that you should be able to thrive on them.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the process of how we come up with the numbers, so you can take some of that information and maybe apply it. But the numbers themselves are specific to this lady right here. Right? Don't try to just, she's doing 1,200 calories.
Oh, we should all do that.
Okay.
Which, by the way, I'm not even doing.
No, she's doing way more than that. Okay, so all right, so beginning numbers, you're about just under 5 feet tall.
That was on a show day, by the way. So apparently
120 pounds.
You can be a little shorter on show day, I learned.
All right, your body weight is 120.
Right now, I'm 120 point something each day
on average.
Give or take.
Give or take. And so that's been consistent for
At least 6
a
weeks,
week,
maybe.
a few weeks. Okay.
Maybe 8 weeks.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we know that she's at least at maintenance right now. She's been about the same weight the whole time. Do you have that's not your actual app. Your skeletal muscle mass, right? And we're tracking skeletal muscle mass with an InBody. So we're using an InBody at-home scale that I have, that allows us to get skeletal muscle mass. And that's really super cool because outside of just knowing what her body fat percentage is, we can actually look at how much actual muscle.
We do want the actual muscle.
We do want the actual muscle. She has like bone attached to muscle, right, which is what provides the shape and the size and all the stuff that we're trying to do.
That's what we want to build, ladies.
That's what we're trying to build. So that's good because we want that to stay the same, at a minimum, and then probably it will end up going up. Okay, so you have 52.7 pounds of skeletal muscle mass.
That tends to range between like 52.9,
right,
like 53 is
yeah, and just so you guys know, we say this number right now, 52.7. When we come back next week or 2 weeks from now, it may be 52.1. It may be 51.9, right?
Right.
The scales, no scale is ever going to be 100% accurate. So what we're looking at trends and consistency with the numbers. So as long as the trend over a month, over 2 months, over 3 months is going in the direction we want it to go, then we're good. If you come in and one day you get on the scale and your scale, this is for body weight, body fat percentage, skeletal muscle mass, whatever, and the numbers are all over the place, that means you didn't get a good night. You didn't get a good night's sleep. You didn't hydrate properly. Like there's some stress in your body. You overhydrated. Like there's things there. So it's trends.
You're probably still digesting your food.
Yeah. If you haven't pooped in a couple days.
I should say, when I say that I've been at about 120 for like 2 months, it's been 122. It's been 123. It's been 119. It's been 121. So yeah, even I would say the last week and a half, 2 weeks, it's been like right at 120.
Yeah. Between 120 and 121, right?
Yeah. So, and then the skeletal muscle mass, I would say anywhere from like 51 point something to 53.
Okay.
Is where it's.
So we're at 52 to 53 somewhere.
Yeah.
50 somewhere there. Okay. And then your body fat percentage
is 21 point.
Well, let's do so with this, there's a cool thing. We also can get specific body fat mass, how many pounds of fat, as well as comparing that to total body weight. So she's got body fat mass is 25.6 pounds, and your body fat percentage
is like 21 point something.
21.2. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's at 21.2. So just to relate that real quick, my recommendations for healthy for most women is 23%.
I would agree with that.
Right? So she's right there and a little bit less. So she's doing really well. We don't really have any work to do to be like, okay, we gotta get you ready to get ready. Like you're
right.
There.
And
like
I should say, like I said in the other video, I got to my highest weight ever in 2021. I was in recovery, and I was eating. I really had to just not track and just let myself eat and let myself put on weight. So I was probably at maybe the highest, like 25% body fat. And that didn't feel really comfortable on my body, but it still was, it was within what you will typically see, like the normal range, healthy range. So his recommendations are for optimal health, which is going to be a little better than the average population. So when you're looking at numbers, whenever you're researching, if you do, and I encourage women to look up what are healthy body fat percentages, because I think we get it in our heads. We see people sharing, especially competitors share, I'm at 12%, I'm at 9%. First of all, if a competitor is telling you that she's under 10% body fat and she's not a female bodybuilder, like extreme heavyweight female bodybuilder, that's incorrect. She's probably getting it from a test that is not correct. Because when you get correct numbers, women should not go that low. Even when you're stage ready, you're not likely going to be under 10% unless we're talking the highest level of bodybuilding for women.
We're going to get you at like 10.9.
We're probably going to get me at like 13%.
13. So that's something we want to talk about. We haven't really talked about her cut yet. So we haven't set a goal. We're not sure. We won't know like what the target of her body fat percentage is going to be until we get closer to kind of see how she responds to what we're doing, like where she actually ends up when we start cutting, and what she looks like when she's at a certain percentage.
That's a really good point.
Like
so,
all that kind of stuff. So
ladies, you're not trying to hit a weight goal. If your goal is to get on stage and compete, there is no weigh-ins for women, maybe in bodybuilding, but not in bikini, not in wellness, not in figure, physique, maybe physique, not sure. But not probably anybody watching this video is more interested in bikini wellness.
Yeah.
There's no weigh-ins. Nobody's checking your weight for stage day. There is no, are you at a certain percentage of body fat? Nobody's checking that. So none of these numbers mean anything for stage. Stage is all about aesthetics. So we're mostly focusing on what we're creating. Like using my body like a piece of clay, and we're like carving and shaping this piece of artwork. It's art, not science. You know, there's some science to it, but it's more art. So we're just going to be looking at how everything's coming along, and that's going to be really the number one thing.
Right, because we're going for a look. So the number doesn't mean anything other than as we get closer to stage, we can say, well, you look like this at 16%. If we want to see that pop, if we want to see this deepen, like we can say, okay, maybe if we can get you to 13, that's when that stuff will come together.
Right.
Right. So it has nothing to do, the number doesn't mean squat.
The numbers
really
for us are a tracking mechanism so that, like he said, we can see that we're going in the right direction. Yeah. If we start to see my muscle mass take a hit and my body fat's not dropping, ooh, we're doing something. We got to fix something. Yeah. So that's what that is for. It's really just for metrics.
Yeah. So if you're stuck on, well, I need to be at X percentage to be on stage, get unstuck from that. You want to look a certain way to be on stage. Especially because you may not need to be at such a low percentage to do that.
Every body composition test you get is going to be a little different from each other.
That's a whole nother. Yeah.
So whatever you're using, stay consistent with using the same one and just track the trends. Yeah. Because if you're jumping around trying to find this elusive body fat percentage that makes you feel better about yourself, you didn't change anything with your body, you just changed the testing mechanism. So focus on your body. I will say my last time on stage using a DEXA scan, I was at 17%. And I was not lean enough. I needed to get leaner. I was a little above where I'd really want to be for stage. And I can't remember off the top of my head what I was in previous preps. So.
Okay. All right. So we've got your base numbers as far as your body composition. Well, let's talk about your calories. Your BMR, what did you say it was? 13, or I just wrote it down somewhere. 1299. 1299. Your BMR. Oh, there it is. 1299. Okay. So your BMR is 1299. So basically 1,300 calories is your Netflix and chill.
Now, what is that for you? What does that mean?
That means sit on the couch and fucking watch TV.
Oh.
You're just sitting here doing nothing. If you sat on the couch and watched Netflix for 24 hours, that's how many calories you would burn. Cool. All right. All right. And right now, that's your BMR, but you've been averaging, is this right?
Between 17 to 1,800 calories. About 1,750-ish, give or take.
Okay, 1,700 to 1,800 calories a day. And you've been basically maintaining at that number.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And your macros are currently 150 protein.
Here's the macro numbers for all you macro junkies.
120 fat and 15 carbs.
So we are carnivore.
15 carbs?
Carnivore, and that is total carbs, fam. That is not net carbs. This is not keto with anything that you can pretend is a net carb. You can pretend it's
not a carb. It's not a carb. It's not a carb. It's not a carb.
Fake fibers and all that. No, it is 15 total, which really have been under 10.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I want you guys to think about. If anybody's watching this and they're like, okay, how much is she eating in a day? 150 grams
of protein
a day. I know women who are 5'8", 150, 160 pounds. who think that 150 grams of protein a day is too much and they can't do it.
Difficult, yeah.
Oh my God, how do you get that much protein in a day?
Yeah.
Guys, once you start doing it, it's so easy.
I have clients who
so
are
easy.
taller than me who struggle to hit 120.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, you got to fuel the beast, man.
I'm a lot
Gotta
smaller and I have a much higher.
You got. That's another reason. That's another area where adding muscle is going to help.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And when you're carnivore, it's much easier to eat,
right?
Because you're not filling up on all those carbs.
Yes. Well, that's a whole other. If you're having trouble getting your protein, it's probably because you're eating a lot of stuff that's filling you but not nourishing you.
Yes. Shots fired.
Hashtag nutrient dense.
Okay, and then 120 fat, which is
way more than you're used to as well.
Yeah. I will say for a little while there, I was definitely under. I was like, I had a thing where it was like 80 grams or less fat, and my protein was pretty high. I mean, it was probably at least where it is now.
So here's the thing. When it comes to fat, I don't like, in general, when I work with women, I don't like to get them, and this is obviously different for everyone's different, but in general, 70 grams of fat a day is kind of the lowest I like to go.
I'm going to like having him as a coach. I never liked it when it got really low. The only time I ever wanted it low was like, okay, it's like almost peak week.
Now it could potentially be a little different because we're doing something. I'm talking for health and optimal quality of life, just living, having energy, etc. We may go lower with you, but in general, there isn't much of a call to go below 70 grams for most women.
I like that.
Really
I like that because I always say, whatever you do, don't go under 50.
Yeah.
Please God, don't go under 50
Definitely
grams
don't go
of
under
fat.
50 for sure.
If you're keto, if you're low carb, don't go under 50 grams of fat. Yeah. Whatever you do.
If you're doing this and you're not if you're not in bodybuilding, you're not bikini, whatever, and you're just trying to get information about stuff, if you feel like you can't lose fat at 70, increase your protein first before you go below fat.
Yeah.
Try that first.
Really good. Really good tip.
Try that first.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to try, and if you're at, well, let's see what the actual number is. If this is your macros, 150 times 4 is 600.
This is
15
where
times
we
4 is 60.
Am I going to get new macros?
120 times 9 is 1080.
We just made a whole thing of brisket in the crock pot too, so.
It's not that much left. There's enough left for at least 1 or 2 more meals, but it was good. It was really good. I didn't have that much. It's a lot of fat, so you can eat all that.
Oh, good. I do like the fat. He doesn't like the fat on the
So her specific macros come out to 1740. Okay. So what we're going to do, because what our goal for this first few weeks is we're going to try to find how low can we go to kickstart some body comp changes, some recomp. Okay.
But he doesn't like to go.
I don't like to make big jumps. We're not going to go from 1740 to 500.
Oh God.
Right. We're going to go from
we're not going to go from 1740 to 12 either.
Yeah.
Think about it. Most people, when they try to lose weight, they drop 500 calories is the magic number because 3,500 calories is what
a pound a week.
So no, we're not going to do that. That's too drastic.
Because what we're trying to do is we want to maintain hormone balance. We want to maintain energy. We want to maintain satiety. Right? We're not trying to
we don't want me to be hungry.
And also think about this: we don't have a date for a show. It's not like you're cutting next week. It's not like you're going on a show next week.
Right.
So
we're not on a timeline yet.
There's no rush. No rush. All right. So 1740 is where you're at now. So we had talked a little bit about it before. We were thinking about going to 125 and 125.
Yes.
Okay. So that's not quite 1-to-1 because unless you want to do 125 with carbs included. So it would be 115. It would be 110 fat and plus a 15 carbs to stay 125 1-to-1.
You might need to explain what you're saying because
so
they don't know.
Well, I was talking to you. I was asking you what you want to do. So the way that I like to start a lot of people off, and this is we're at a point where we can do this with her because we baselined. We got you set. You're kind of settled with everything. Your body fat percentage is good. So it's not a bad way to start, is what I call 1-to-1. So basically we take your protein at 1 gram, matching what your lean body mass is. So her lean body mass, we figured out.
My lean body mass is 95
pounds. Right? So this is, so we're going to be higher than that for her.
We're not going to do that
because that would be too much of a cut from where she is right now. But instead of matching it to her lean body mass, we're just going to go 1-to-1 on the ratio of protein to fuel. Okay, so protein, ready for this, guys? You know what I'm going to say.
This is one way he speaks about this, I think, differently than anybody else I hear talking about it. So I really like that you're explaining this.
Protein, I don't look at as a fuel. So when we talk about total calories, I separate total calories from protein and fuel calories, right? Because protein, the primary use for protein in the body is building, and repairing. Carbs and fat are primarily used for fuel and energy, right? If we think of our body as two processes, we have an anabolic process and we have a catabolic process. Try not to, if I get too geeky here, let me know. Okay, so we have two major processes in our body. We have 2 sets of macronutrients that support both of those processes. So protein supports anabolic processes. Carbs and fat support, well, technically, here we go, check this out. Technically, carbs are catabolic. Fuel or fat can be catabolic and anabolic.
Okay, but don't confuse it.
I'm not gonna see, I told you, if I start geeking out.
Keep it simple. Okay. So when he says protein to fuel, what he's talking about is protein to fats and carbs.
Right.
And this fits in well with my favorite analogy. This is what I like to explain to people, is thinking of it like a seesaw. So any diet that you're on, protein is the middle part of the seesaw that's holding it steady in the middle. The carbs are on one end of the seesaw and the fats are on the other end of the seesaw. You can have it balanced like this, or if you go high carb, you're gonna have to go low fat. If you go high fat, you're gonna have to go low carb. If you have both,
you're gonna break the damn seesaw.
And protein and down in the dumps, that's where all your body composition problems are coming from.
Yeah.
So we are in the high fat, low carb camp. So,
yep.
So I see most people talking about them as 3 separate things. What's different about the way Bronson talks about it is he talks about fats and carbs together as the fuel. And so there's just 2 pieces of the equation here.
Right. So what I'm talking about when I was asking her about how she wants to split up the carbs and the fat is, if we're going 1-to-1, which means we're going to match her grams of protein to grams of fuel, does she want to actually do that so that if we go 125 and 125, it would be 110 fat and 15 carbs?
No, I don't want to do that.
So we'll do 125 plus 15 carbs.
Yeah, because we're saying 15, but really, like, I'm under 10.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not even getting up to 10. Some days it's been like 4, 3.
Okay. So technically her fuel's a little bit higher, but it's going to be some carbs every day. Isn't a big deal.
Yeah, it's going to be very few, because for 30 days or 2 weeks at least, I'm doing nothing but meat, not even eggs. So I'm really not going to be like getting carbs from anything except my electrolytes, probably. I do count the electrolytes. So really probably all my carbs are coming from LMNT, which, for sake of full disclosure, they include the citric acid that they use in their formula on their label. Most companies do not even include that in their label. So it could be 0 carb, but they like to be transparent, so they show those. So it's really coming from like citric acid, which is an agent added to powders to keep them from caking.
Okay. So those new macros, 125, 125, and 15, drops you to 1685.
Oh, that's good, because the 15's even lower too.
Yeah.
So
that's a whopping 55 calories.
It's like nothing.
Oh my God.
It should be really interesting to see if anything changes with this.
Yeah. So the one thing that's going to change, because of everything, you're dropping 25 grams of protein. You're dropping almost a meal.
No, because I've only been eating 2 meals a day.
Okay, so
they've
you've only
been pretty
they've been
large
pretty
meals.
large meals. So you're dropping a third of a meal.
Yeah.
So a third of the meal is gone. A shake, that's a shake.
Which is really what's perfect about this, though, is that, remember, we're doing this for my gut health too. So one of the things that I've discovered, it's all about like paying attention to everything. And I always tell my ladies that I work with, you have to become the detective of your own body. So you really need to become the expert of your own body. Yeah. So I pay attention to everything. I have a journal. That's what he's reading off of too. I have a daily journal log of food and mood. So not only am I tracking my body composition, my macros that day, like where I actually landed, right? We have my goal macros at the top. I track where I land that day. I track how many steps I did that day. I track what was the workout that day. And then I write down how I'm feeling in between my meals. I write down about my bowel habits. Like, we include everything. So what I was saying,
we're going to talk about poop.
We are going to talk about poop on this channel. If you're a little afraid, sorry, we're keeping it real. So I say that because I've been doing 2 meals a day, pretty large meals, and I'm still experiencing some digestive distress. So one of the things we've been talking about is shifting to 3 meals a day. But I think even with this macro shift, that could be enough to stick with the 2 meals a day, and now each meal not having to be so large that I'm getting uncomfortable.
Or, I mean, just to toss this in there, it could also be the increase in fat. You were talking about earlier about maybe getting some ox bile or something else. Maybe there's a fat digestion thing that we can look at too. So.
It could be, but I think it has more to do with the size.
The bolus.
The sheer size of how much protein,
Cool.
Yeah. And it could be the things I'm eating too, because remember, I'm just starting this elimination diet. So certain proteins could be impacting me more than others, which is why, at least for a week or 2, we're going to go like nothing but red meat.
Cool. Awesome.
So anything else about where we're starting?
No, I think we're good. We could talk about workouts and stuff, but we can do that.
Well, I'll just give a brief overview of the training. The training is 5 to 6 days a week.
5 to 6 days a week.
5 to 6 days a week right now, and we can talk in depth about training splits because we are going to shift some things there as well. Yep. So when we get ready to do that, we can do a whole separate video just on the training aspect. We can do that. Yeah, sure. Cool. And how he's coming up with that. That actually would be really great to share.
Yeah, we can talk about how we're coming up with some of that stuff, some of the things that we throw in there that are different than you may see in a normal bodybuilding program. Because
definitely
again,
will be different from what I've done.
Here's the deal. When it comes to nutrition, we can end on this. I want everyone to understand that when I'm working with you, when I'm working with her, my goal is to get her as ready as possible for stage, but it's also to build the foundation for life after the show.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
Right? So I'm going to get you in the best nutritional shape. But I want to keep you healthy. I want to get you in the best physical shape, but I also want you to be able to move and not get injured and be able to function.
Yes.
Because functional fitness in bodybuilding don't often come together.
They really
so
don't.
I try to keep that as much in play
That's
as
going to be
possible.
great. I need that. I really do need more of that in my life. And we'll talk about we'll do another video about like what my goals are. What is my physique goal? What are we working toward? Right? We can show pictures and show you, this is what we're trying to achieve and this is what we're doing to get that.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Thank you for being with us.
See you guys next time.
See you next time.